So, hi, Philippe.
Hi, Susi. How are you today?
I'm very well, thank you. Thank you for taking the time to have this chat, and I'm looking forward to learning about what you do and sharing some stories.
Yeah, how did you become part of Interprefy then?
So the first time I came across Interprefy, it was in a job advert. And obviously, I'd never heard of Interprefy before that. And so I went and did some research, as you do. The thing that stood out to me the most was the mission, our mission, which is to connect the world in their own language. I am a bilingual myself, so obviously I appreciate the importance of linguistic inclusion beyond just the kind of the main languages that are spoken in the world, English being one of them. And so this idea of removing barriers to people's participation in society, because ultimately it's about that, really spoke to me, and that's why I'm sat here today.
You are part of a big team, I suppose, or is it just a few of you, or how does it work?
So I'm part of the marketing department at Interprefy, and
Mhm.
it's a small but mighty team,
Okay.
a small
Yeah.
group of professionals, and
Yep.
we're all very passionate about what we do, and we kind of specialize in each one in our own areas, as it were. And
Okay.
so we've got the demand generation side of things. So, all marketing activities that drive that sort of long-term engagement, raise awareness of customers' challenges, position Interprefy as a partner that can help them solve those challenges, and generate demand. Then we've got our content strategist and the kind of the content production side of things. So the content strategist, I think of her as our storyteller.
Mhm.
So, and she works really hard to kind of understand our users' needs and our business goals. Then she kind of plans and develops like relevant content that brings the two together.
Excellent.
And finally, there's me. So that's I oversee the kind of CRM, which is the customer relationship management systems and processes. And in my role, I help kind of manage the platform. So, as I was saying, the systems that allow us to all work from kind of one single source of truth. So, no matter who's talking to a customer, anybody can pick up that conversation and kind of help them out. So, this is to ensure that the customer experience, our users' experience, is as pleasurable as it can be, and kind of making it easier for people to engage with us and use our services.
Yeah, I think that's one of the reasons why I'm a bit of I'm joining the interpreting online. I mean, I used to do it a lot on site and a bit of a bit of both. But obviously, with COVID and all that, it made things a lot easier for us interpreters. And I guess, my background as on politics and geography, history, and languages. It's a good combination to have when you are an interpreter.
If I can interject there with a question, this background that you mentioned, does that facilitate your kind of specializing in certain topics, subjects when it comes to interpreting, or does it just give you a wide access to?
I guess, I mean, that's the difficulty I've always had. I mean, never wanted to specialize in one particular area. So when I did my language degree, it was combined with business and legal aspect, combined the master degree. And then I've always been kind of fascinated by big conferences, international meetings and summits and all those things. So somehow maybe I wanted to be a diplomat myself at some point, and I thought maybe it's a good way of having an insight and finding out if there's something I really want to do or I want to do on the longer run. So I thought give it a go, and trained a lot of it came from doing it, experience and working and preparing and making sure that you're ready for it, but it's can be challenging sometimes, and but I'm glad we have got Interprefy, because I get access to opportunities which I would have never had opportunities before. Traveling from one day you're in Geneva in the morning, and then you're in New York in the afternoon, and Ontario in the evening. So that's also a good way of traveling, I would say, in a quite a sustainable way.
Yes, indeed. So do you remember, can you pinpoint the moments that you decided to become an interpreter?
Specific moment too. I can't know, to be honest. No, I think it just came naturally. I mean, I initially trained to be working with public service interpreting with the police and the court in the UK, and I think it probably came when I started being my own boss, so being a freelance back in 2006, and I thought, well, if I'm going to be a freelance, I'm going to have to diversify, because if in the language sector in particular, we have all those options, to teach or translate or interpret, or there are quite a few options that we have. So that's what I thought. Having interpreting on top of that is a good thing to have, an extra string to the bow.
Well, clearly it was the right choice, because all these years later, here you are still going strong. So
That's it, yeah. Was that something yourself which led you into wanting to work in marketing field or marketing area yourself, or was it quite a
yeah,
natural? Yeah.
yeah, I think it was a kind of a natural development for me as well. There wasn't a particular kind of moment that I can say, oh yeah, that tips the scales. But I started off. My background is actually in environmental studies, and I did a bit of
Okay.
social research as well. So I was quite passionate about research, and in whatever context, really. And at the time when I was doing my degree, I was also working in marketing in a fairly entry position, but it seemed that I could marry the two. I could marry the stuff that I was studying, research, and principles of even sustainability and what have you, into what I was doing at work. And I think, I really enjoy my job, because, to be honest with you, no 2 days are the same, Today, here
Yeah.
I am talking to you, and every day brings something new. So you're always, as a marketeer, you're always learning. It's never, oh, I've arrived now, I can, I can stop. It's always, you have to up your game. So that keeps me interested. That keeps me going.
Yeah, and you mentioned you did some studies in environmental studies, that kind of thing, yeah. And I guess having a product like Interprefy to advertise, and it's a lot easier than it is to have, I don't know, a barrel of petrol, or I don't know.
Indeed.
Yeah,
Definitely
excellent.
much easier. Yes. It kind of taps into the sustainability, concern that we should all kind of have top of mind at the moment. So, in terms of, Interprefy can meet those sustainability demands, because, as you were saying, it facilitates these online meetings to take place. It facilitates different formats and structures to meetings that have always traditionally been quite heavy on the kind of carbon footprint side of things.
Yeah.
With the added dimension of everybody in Interprefy, and it's a rapidly growing company, working remotely. So that again adds to the whole sustainability thing. So in fact, that is one of the reasons why I joined Interprefy as well. It was like, well, here is the perfect combination of giving everybody a voice, a platform that gives people a voice and is sustainable at the same time, because it kind of takes out the whole travel accommodation side of things, particularly for interpreters such as yourself. So
Definitely, yes, it's a lot easier to find the right balance between traveling and working from home and spending time with family and friends over here rather than being all over the place all the time.
indeed, yeah.
Yep.
So
Yep.
do you have a moment before you joined Interprefy where you sort of is I guess what I'm asking is, was that your life before joining Interprefy? So you had lots of kind of events that you traveled for and all of that.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. Quite a bit
Yeah.
across Europe and across the UK, where I'm based, and it could be, can be quite stressful sometimes, just to run for a train or trying to, yeah. So it's a lot easier now. It's a lot better, but I guess it's another balance to strike now is between how much time you need to dedicate for preparation and how much time you have for the meeting, and it's a whole different thing. And of course, you don't quite have the same connections. When you go on site, you actually meet other colleagues and interpreters, and it's quite nice to have a bit of a social life in that way as well. And you find it's also being in the booth. You also have more. It feels like you have more capacity to intervene with the technical team on site, and you can probably get more documents or more things that you need to prepare for an assignment than if you are online and trying to get hold of people, and it's a bit different. But yeah, it's a feel good feeling, I guess. Yeah, just to know that all those people who are connected online or even ourselves, we don't have to add to that carbon footprint that we used to add before previously. So yes, I would agree with that. Yeah,
Doing our bit for the planet, right?
that's it. Yeah, definitely. But there are meetings where it feels you need to be on site. I mean, like in negotiations, you really feel face-to-face meetings or more likely to succeed than if you do it online.
It's I don't think it can completely and entirely substitute, replace face-to-face meetings. It's good to have the occasional, it's unavoidable, I guess, to have the occasional face-to-face. But I think for the bulk of it, because I think here we're talking about scale of, it's not just me and you doing one event here or flying here and there to whatever. The scale of events that take place globally every year, it's it's definitely remote interpretation is something that
It's here to stay.
yeah
Definitely. Yeah. And do you think the hybrid model will be the new norm, the new standard?
well
Or yeah.
we are certainly seeing a lot of interest in hybrid, and actually in marketing we did a survey, a small scale survey last year, towards the end of last year, find out what event professionals think. What does 2022 have in stock for us in that sense, and the majority said hybrid events all the way. However, we're also seeing a return to online events. So again, it's that balance that we were talking about at the beginning, because I think people are also tired of doing everything online, and they want to go back to mingling and having face-to-face time and all that. So we are certainly seeing that taking place. Yeah.
Okay, excellent. And is there anything that you wish me or other interpreters knew about your job that you haven't talked about so far?
Well, I mean, interpreters, I don't think you hear this enough, so I will say it. Interpreters are a crucial part of the Interprefy ecosystem. And, without you, we would not be able to fulfill our mission, which is to connect the world in their own language. So I imagine that interpreting is not an easy job. It's I appreciate how hard it is, especially when it's simultaneous. And so I just want to say that we are grateful for what you do. We are grateful for your dedication, the passion that you bring to the job, your flexibility to keep up with our demands and the client's demands. And, overall, we see you and we appreciate you.
Thank you. Likewise, and you were able to promote the Interprefy platform very well for us. And I've got to say, that was a life-changing, really, for me to meet and discover the platform back in April 2018, I think it was. And I think, it did change the way I worked and the way business was being run at my end. I've got to say, all the technical team I've always worked with have always been there and support us, and it really made our life a lot easier, to have Interprefy in our working life. So I've got to be grateful for that too. So thank you.
Question from me. So as somebody that doesn't really fully grasp the interpreting, what is involved in interpreting, but as I said, I do appreciate how complex it is. What do you do if you use the wrong word or perhaps make a mistake? How do you correct that? When do you correct it?
It's a good question. I mean, if you do realize that you have made a mistake, then you just say the interpreter would like to correct that, but very often it goes so quickly that you try to get it back close to as close to the meaning as possible, and if I'm not sure of something, I'd rather not say it, basically, than say something which would be wrong. So I might say, or let's say there is a number, I didn't quite catch a number, I said hundreds, if I know it's hundreds of them or thousands of people, I will try, or large number, I will try to find a way, not to make a mistake, because that's the last thing you want is give a number or figure which is completely wrong, and just have to be cautious and very focused on what's going on. Yeah,
a lot of responsibility, if you ask me.
It can be.
Yeah, hats off to you.
But we do kind of when we know it's going to be challenging, it's going to be lots of speeches, or lots of people speaking fast or so on. We tend to try to reduce the time that we work to 15 minutes. So I work very often with a good colleague of mine and friend of mine, Alain Balanche, and we tend to work shorter period of time. So we keep it more focused. So it kind of stops the risks of mistakes being made, in a way, because you focused on 15 instead of half an hour, 15 minutes instead of a whole half an hour. So and then we are here as a team, both with technicians and your partner. So also we tend to communicate between interpreters. So if let's say I missed a number or I didn't say it right, then my partner will indicate it in the chat. And then as I am still interpreting, I can always say, okay, this was the number, so that will be one way of correcting mistakes. And that's where cooperation is very, very important. We are part of a team, and everybody is involved and helping for the success of the event.
Yeah,
and and that includes all the technicians and all the employees at Interprefy, like yourself.
Yeah, definitely a team effort. Is there anything that you do, like outside of your work, that enhances your ability to focus? Asking this for myself. I'm gonna take notes.
To focus, I guess I find myself maybe walking the dog and having a podcast in my head and kind of sort of interpret. After I've been interpreting for hours, it's very hard to come out of this, and to focus. So I guess I'm focusing on keywords and say, how did they say that word, or how would I say that word, and then I try to find a podcast which is the same in French, so about a similar topic. So then I can get to catch the keywords from listening both podcasts, one in English and one in French. So usually, I've got a few of them that I do enjoy listening, and that's how I kind of try to improve my concentration and the focus on the work. But yeah, don't know if it's so helpful.
Yeah, so as I was saying, I am bilingual. I speak native Italian, and I've been in the UK for about 15 years. So good with both languages. One thing that I wonder about actually is this about myself actually, is this my English level, is this as like peak? Will it ever, do you see what I mean? I've been here 15 years. I'm really fluent, I know that, but is this it? So is this something that interpreters wonder about, and is there an answer?
I think you will keep learning, and you will find yourself discovering new words and new expressions and new things, and it's still ongoing, I believe. So no, I don't know.
Yeah, no, actually, you're right. You're right. Sometimes people will surprise me because they'll say a phrase that I've never heard of. And I've got a thing for phrases and expressions, so I find myself like, yeah, yeah. So yeah, you're right. Actually, always growing.